Welcome to the captivating world of Ananda. I am here at one of the world's most renowned health and wellness retreats, and I'm here on my very own journey, nestled here in the majestic foothills of the Himalayas in North India. I'm taking the whole journey with day by day, and I'm here with Chef Diwaker to take me through.
Welcome to Ananda in the Himalayas, Tara. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
It's such an honor to be here. I am already in love. I mean, look at this incredible place. I already feel calm. I've had the most incredible experience so far. The affair with food for the human race started with the need for pure survival. In time, cultures approached food as a defining tool for care and human connection. Before we knew it, food had become a cause for celebration. Over time, geographical influences further nudged us to acknowledge culinary pleasure as a science. Today we stand at an interesting juncture, with food being seen as ingredients that hold within them medicinal powers and an ability to heal. While the human race views another evolutionary cycle close to completion of food as survival and pleasure. Chef Diwaker and I, from very diverse backgrounds and experiences, give our views on the rising wellness goals in food culture.
I mean, like bringing it all together, blending it with the very basic elements of Ayurveda, the basic principles of it, which are there in our literature, in our textures available to us. And I mean, like bringing it all together and working upon it and presenting our way of cuisine, that's something we are doing here.
Yeah, and I know for me, I've always been a person that looks at food as fuel and as nourishment. But I've been here for, I think, 5 days now, and I feel so invigorated. I feel like, understanding that it is not just about, it's not about just sticking to a strict diet. It's also about understanding your body type. It's understanding about the ingredients that grow around you and incorporating that into your daily practices. And so for me, I'm really noticing a difference just in 5 days. So it definitely works. I'm proof in the pudding.
I'm so glad to hear that. Yes, very true. It's a big part of our work here to be able to identify your body type, what suits you well, and then incorporate that in your plan. And along with focusing on the health aspect of it, to be able to put food on your plate which is visually appealing.
Yes.
And I mean, like it's good for your body as well.
Yeah, amazing. Should we take a tour?
So this is a herb garden, and there are a lot of culinary herbs out there in the world, and a lot of chefs use different culinary herbs to flavor their dishes. But trust me, there's a lot of hidden gems hiding out there in forms of these Ayurvedic herbs. There are so many of them, so flavorful, so fragrant, and with a lot of medicinal benefits. Here at Ananda, we are kind of trying to blend them in our different dishes and introduce them to the world.
I have to say, as a chef, just being amidst this lush variety of Ayurvedic herbs is such an incredible place to be. In particular, this is my favorite. It's my superpower. I use this daily to reduce stress, immune boosting, and just overall health. This is ashwagandha. And I'm definitely going to be using this in my dish today because I just can't get enough. Should we cook?
Certainly. Let's go.
Chef, we are in your magic space where all the incredible action happens. So there's a little bit of, action behind us. So never mind the noise. It's really the kitchen. So tell me, what are you cooking today?
Well, I'm cooking today a very traditional recipe from this place where we are right now, Uttarakhand. The recipe which has existed thousands of years with the villagers, very simple way of eating. A lot of millet grows in this region, so I'm using a millet to make this recipe. And we have picked this beautiful herb in the morning. It's called Safed Musli. So we'll try to incorporate this in the very traditional recipe which we are cooking.
Amazing.
And then we have some lentils as well. So
amazing.
Let's do it.
Okay.
And the traditional recipes, they are made so beautifully. There's sort of a lot of thought process behind them. Millet is a very dry ingredient. There's a lot of fiber. So if you eat a lot of millet, our gut can be very dry. So that's why you will see a lot of recipes with millet, the traditional ones, they have a lot of moisture, to counterbalance it.
Yeah. So we've made the paste. You can see that.
So now we are going to make small dumplings out of this dough.
Okay.
So we can take a little in our hands. And though every time not necessary, we have to make a ball out of it. It can be like random shapes. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be able to experience these different cultural dishes that are still made locally. I mean, Australia is a very multicultural country, and we have a lot of different influences from different countries and cuisines and holistic kind of approaches. And so it's really influenced the way we see food. It's kind of shifted to just, not being solely pleasure-based, but now moving into a little bit more of a holistic approach.
True.
How do you see it for you?
Talking of it, Sarah, I mean, like pleasure eating, and then now a shift of approach to more holistic based eating. I think, but one thing we should also talk about, there are a lot of people out there in the world, in the villages, on the countryside, who are still eating for survival. There is a shift from pleasure-based eating to the holistic approach, and I think a lot has to do with the globalization, which is happening around, a fusion of cultures, people moving here, trades happening, recipes being exchanged. A lot of that is happening, and so much of knowledge, easy access of knowledge these days, so much of awareness around. Now people are becoming aware of the nutrition, health, their own bodies. And then there is a shift happening where people are aware of themselves, so they are aware of what to eat.
Yeah.
So I think that's a major shift which is actually happening.
Yeah, I think it's that whole aspect where we have the education now, so that's influencing the way that we eat. We understand what it's doing to our bodies. And like you said, that globalization, it really brings together the best of so many cultures, so we can start to incorporate that.
Right. Our dumplings are done.
Yes.
Now let's make the curry.
Okay.
Like the base of it. So earlier we have made the paste of these red lentils.
Yep.
And you can actually make it with any lentil. So you can use different beans or different lentils. So we are just using these red ones today.
Does that go in?
Yeah. So no. So first we'll make a templing.
Okay.
So any fat medium. So we have been using ghee in our dumplings. So we'll continue with ghee.
Yes. And there's, I think people get a little bit scared sometimes when using ghee, but there's a lot of health benefits to using ghee as well, right?
True. And in Ayurveda, it's recommended to have ghee, and especially in the summers, because ghee has a cooling impact on the body.
Yeah.
So some whole red chilies.
Yeah.
And this special spice, this is jakia. Again,
mustard seeds?
It's not mustard.
So, yeah, I think I ate this in my dish.
Yeah, so this jakia, this is also a native spice from here. I mean, like you taste it like this, it's a little bitter. But when it kind of goes in the oil for the tempering, then it releases its flavor, and it adds a very good texture to the dish as well. So it's a little crunchy.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I guess you see a lot of different types of people coming into Ananda. It's a very globally known.
They're coming from different geographies of the world. They're coming from different cultures. They are accustomed to eating a lot of different food, right? And to be able to create something which is on the wellness principles of Ayurveda, right? And still to be able to give them that taste, and they should not feel that they are eating something out of the world, right? And it's difficult to adjust for them as well.
Exactly.
So what we do here, we are kind of creating a cuisine from different parts of the world. So a lot of Western food, a lot of Asian food, definitely lots of Indian food, but all on the lines of principles of Ayurveda. So I think that's one thing which is happening right now.
You can't deny that social media is a huge part of everybody's life, and it's something that, people are very visual. They want to post it and share what they're doing. So as much as they are having that holistic approach and mindful eating and wanting to, ensure that they're having, putting the best ingredients into their bodies, they still want it to look good and also taste good. So how does that impact?
Definitely. I mean, like Instagram especially. I mean, like whenever you're making food, I mean, like it should be Instagram, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know, we can't hide from it.
You're creating food which is healthy, nourishing, nutritious, but if it's not good looking, right? So, I mean, like as they say, you eat with your eyes first. Yeah. Right?
So what spices have you put in?
So coriander and turmeric, these two spices. Earlier we have used asafoetida.
Yes.
It's considered to be a very good digestive.
Yes.
Right? Since we are cooking lentils.
Yeah.
So sometimes they can give you bloating, So always good to cook them with some digestive spices.
Yes. So I'm seeing a lot of restaurants opening that, for example, 11 Madison Park in New York, it turned from one of the most prestigious fine dining restaurants to now being completely vegetarian.
Right.
#1 in the world for many years. and now vegetarian. So I think the trend is definitely filtering through not just the holistic kind of environments, it's also to the larger public, and I think it's a really good shift that's happening.
True. I mean, like plant-based eating.
Yes.
I mean, like that's also one thing which a lot of people are moving towards.
There's things like flexitarian, there's people that, only eat white meat. And so there's lots of these different kind of trends that are coming across.
And especially a lot of these different diets, people are going keto, people are going vegan, there's paleo. I mean,
it's too many.
It's how health is something which is perceived in many different ways around the globe.
Yeah.
So how as a society we are perceiving, how as an individual we are perceiving health, based on that people make their choices. So and that's why these different diets or different trends.
I know, and that's the thing, we should be listening to our body. Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. We're so set in this schedule where it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and certain dishes that you just eat every single week, and it's just on rotation. But ultimately, we should be eating for our the season, for our body type. Your dishes should change throughout the year as well.
True, and that's where the angle comes in when you say eat locally and seasonally.
Yes.
Today we have access to best of the foods from the globe, any corner of the globe.
I know.
But what we tend to forget is what's growing in our backyard.
Exactly. So, Chef, when I was in MasterChef, when I opened up the lid of the mystery box, so many days I wanted to cry because I was like, what am I going to cook? So I made this kind of plan, like how do I put together a dish that is tasty with all these quite random ingredients? So I had a method. It was something firm that you can kind of bite into texturally, something creamy that kind of coats the palate, something really crunchy that you can kind of have that textural element. And that's the, textures in your mouth, and then the flavors. So you need something acidic, something bitter, something, salty, something sweet. So bringing all those flavors together, which is part of Ayurvedic cuisine as well, right? Bringing all the 6 kind of flavors together. So I was on the right path then. I think it's that aspect of when people are cooking at home to just see what they have in their pantry and make it simple and play around keeping those flavors in mind. So the textural element, we have our cauliflower steak. So really simply just cut down a wedge so you've got that beautiful shape, because again, it's about the senses as well. Right. So, and then going in with our spices. So all those healing properties that I've come to love being here at Ananda. Actually, my favorite thing is the TCFC. You can call for one. We can have it with our little dinner party after when we're eating our dishes. So I've got turmeric, cumin, coriander, paprika. So again, all those similar kind of healing spices that you use. And what's your take on, spices and bringing that into the dishes, and very anti-inflammatory, and there's a lot of benefits, right?
With the globalization, one thing which has happened bad is that food has traveled, but has not traveled in its authenticity, right? So I'll give you an example. Like there's so many Indian restaurants around the globe now, and everyone is cooking that food, and they use spices very sparingly, right? Yeah. Like every dish has turmeric, every dish has cumin, coriander, chili. Everything is going everywhere. What I believe in is that when you are cooking with the spices, certain spices pair well with certain ingredients. Yes. Right. So if I'm cooking a dal, and I want to flavor it with curry leaves. So maybe I just go with the mustard and curry leaves. That's it. Yes. There is no need for 10 other spices to go in. So I think with the spices, I think a little wisdom is required in using them, what it pairs well with. Number 1. Number 2, nutritionally, where it will be beneficial. Like I'm so amazed. You're cooking this cauliflower, and the choice of spices here is the coriander, is the cumin, is the turmeric. Now cauliflower is also vata inducing. It will aggravate vata in it when eaten in bigger quantities. Yeah. Yes. So you need spices which are digestive in nature, and pairing it, marinating with the digestive spices is such a wonderful combination. Yeah. Well, and that's how the spices have to be used.
How do we globally keep the essence of cuisine without kind of bastardizing it. You know, I think there's so many beautiful ancient recipes in India. How do we keep them alive and, you know, still taking some essence of them and you know, using them for their nutritional benefits in our day-to-day, but keeping those alive? What's your take on that?
I think if we have to, you know, keep the recipes intact, if for that we have to understand the wisdom behind it.
Yes.
I mean, like, why a recipe is a certain way, right? I mean, like, look at Indian food globally. I mean, you'll find same food on all the menus. You'll find that
does
same...
my head in. Like, I get so frustrated. Like, butter chicken.
Butter chicken is there.
I'm like, where's all these...
Same kadai paneer, or maybe kadai chicken, and the same food. And then when it traveled around the globe, people adapted it to, you know, whatever is available around them.
Yes.
So it traveled to London. There's a lot of cream in it.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Or maybe it travels somewhere in China, and they will add a little soya or something to it, right? I mean, that's fine. But if we understand why a recipe is done a certain way, right? Example, you go towards southern part of India. There are certain spices which are very sparingly used in the cuisine. We have to understand why. Because of the geography there, probably. You go up in the Himalayas, they have a very different cooking techniques. So like the one I'm using, instead of using the dal as a whole, we use the paste. Because it's easier to cook paste. When you go high up in the altitude, because of the atmospheric pressure, it's very difficult to cook. So we have to come up with the methods where we can cook it fast. But like, if I take this recipe somewhere else and try to do it in some other form, maybe I'll lose the essence of that dish.
I'm Australian, but my son is half Punjabi. So for me, I feel like I kind of have this responsibility to understand his culture, kind of help, you know, people in Australia to understand if he takes a paratha to lunch, you know, it's a normal thing for his culture and to understand about that. So now when I kind of, if I make any dishes myself that are kind of fusion dishes, I consciously rename it a totally different dish. I think for me, that's how I respect the heritage of a dish. So I might take an inspiration from, say, this dal dish that you're making and put my own spin on it, but I will rename it something else. Like with these, you know, international dishes that are putting that spin on classical Indian dishes, like have some restraint with it and, you know, pare back the spices, just take a little bit of an influence and add it in for a reason, for a purpose. And I think that's where this whole aspect of, you know, holistic eating comes in. It's like, well, why are we adding so many spices? Find the way to do it for a purpose.
And probably because of the geography, the amount of spices I can take, I mean, like, take it to some other geography around the world, where it maybe is more hotter. They won't be able to take those spices. So the recipe may be adopted in a little different way to their
the environment.
But at the same time, understand the essence of the recipe, what it stands for. And I mean, like, we can just make changes randomly. Changes should be, you know, very wise changes. And for that, we have to understand the dish, understand the meat.
Yes, so true. Bringing in the layers of protein, healthy fats, and, you know, bringing the nutrients from the cauliflower. And then I add in a little bit of miso, which is like a secret little ingredient. It's fermented, so it's really good for the gut as well. And also just adds this really kind of umami flavor to the dish. So this is just soaked cashews, some miso paste, some garlic, and that's been blended into a paste.
Lot of umami going in there with the miso, with the garlic.
Yum.
Great.
It's like, I found out that I'm Pitta, which means I love flavor, but I shouldn't eat too much flavor. Now our little secret weapon, our oil. So now you've made this for me. Very lucky there's a kitchen team out the back, so I'll let you talk about it. But it's got the ashwagandha in there and some holy basil, right? And made with olive oil. So again, it's just like there's so many ways that you can find, you know, ways to kind of incorporate these really highly nutritious and healing ingredients into our daily diet and, you know, not diet, but daily cuisine. And, you know, simple things like this. If people make an oil at home, you keep it for the week and use it on different dishes, or miso butter, then it's just taking a little bit of that complications out of day-to-day cooking as well.
And I think a big part of our job is to make, I mean, like, introduce these herbs and medicines to the world, and at the same time introduce them in a way which makes them palatable.
And accessible, like, you
Yes,
know,
true.
easy for people to add it in.
I mean, oil like this can travel around the globe.
Yeah, exactly.
And with those
That is
medicinal
so
benefits
true.
of ashwagandha, what a
So
wonderful
true.
way to use it.
Yeah. I am dying to eat this dish behind me, so I think we should plate. And I see tea has arrived. So I'm so excited to have all of this together. This is my favorite, literally.
This is, we call it CFC, as you very well know it now. So a decoction of cumin, coriander and fennel, mixed in equal quantities and then just boiled with water.
Another thing that I've learned on this trip, and is something I'm definitely going to take back, is to keep drinking warm drinks as well.
Right.
And, you know, whether it's something like this where, you know, it's not caffeinated, it's really light to continue drinking throughout the day, but it's not just water. You know, sometimes you just get over having so much water, like 2.5 liters of water a day. Like, it's a lot.
True. And I mean, like drinking warm, and especially during your meals.
Oh, I love it. So good. It's
So
amazing.
fragrant as well.
It is. It smells amazing. Chef, look at the surroundings here. It's so beautiful. I cannot wait to try your dish. I'm going to dig in and start serving.
I'm so looking forward to it as well.
And I feel like we've kind of hit all the points we spoke about today.
Right.
We're sitting here in a beautiful surrounding. We've got nutritious, healthy food that uses ingredients picked from the garden, and we're, you know, basically bringing together all those aspects of Ayurvedic cuisine, but still celebrating. We're celebrating, right?
True. And I mean, Sarah, I must say, it is so incredible to talk to you. I mean, just learn what's your philosophy around the cuisine and to be able to share what we are doing over here. I mean, an incredible day.
The way that you are able to bring together the way you're able to bring together that holistic aspect, but also make really tasty food. But I can't even stop. I can't wait any longer. I'm going for it.
Oh, I'm going for your dish first.
Wow.
Very true. I mean, like all the umamis you were describing, I can straight away feel them.
Good job. High five, Chef. Nailed it.